بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Yesterday we went through the beginning of Zakat and the virtues of Zakat, the warnings of not paying Zakat. Thereafter we discussed the meaning of Zakat, the lughawi, the linguistic meaning, the shari'i meaning, and we discussed all the other things with regards to the main introductory points about Zakat. And then we started about how much Zakat is, 2.5% of our wealth every single year we pay in Zakat. And then we discussed on whom Zakat is first, a person who is baligh, a person who is a Muslim, a person who is sane, and a person who has money equivalent to nisab, the threshold, and possesses that money for one lunar year. And then we discussed the recipients of Zakat, all those individuals who can take Zakat and who should we pay our Zakat to. Conditions for the validity of Zakat, you should make the intention of paying Zakat when putting that money aside. The recipient must be eligible, and tamliq must be found. You must hand that money over to the recipient. You can't give it to some construction project because you're not making a poor person the owner of that Zakat. So tamliq must be found. Thereafter we discussed that an agent can be appointed. We can give it to someone, we can give it on our behalf. We do not need to tell the recipient that this is Zakat. We need to have the intention, but we can give it when we're giving it to the recipient. He may feel ashamed to take Zakat, so we can give it as a name of charity, as a name of aid, or even with the name of hadiyah, with the name of a gift you can give it also. And then we stopped on this point that Zakat can be paid in advance. So you do not normally, we just discussed that you pay Zakat on your Zakat date. So every year, whenever you first became the owner of this nisab, when you became the owner of this threshold, that is your Zakat date. Now, when one whole year passes, and now you still have that money or more, then you have to give Zakat. But then a question arises that can you give Zakat before your year finishes? So Zakat is not wajib upon you, it's not farz upon you until your date comes. However, if you wish to give it in advance, then you don't have to, but you can. There's a slight difference. You don't have to give it before your date, but you can. So say, I gave an example yesterday, a need arises, like the need just arose in Turkey and Syria, and you want to give your Zakat to help the people who have been afflicted with the earthquake, but then your date's not come yet. For example, your date was Ramzan, but then there's still a month left till Ramzan. Can you give your Zakat in advance? The answer is yes, you can. You can give your Zakat, but just one point to note is that when your date comes, and you've already paid your Zakat, let's say we paid our Zakat on the 1st of Sha'ban due to the earthquake, and you gave your Zakat at that time, you had, let's say, 5,000 pounds, and you gave Zakat according to 5,000 pounds. But now, on the 1st of Ramadan, when it's your date, you've checked, and now you have 6,000 pounds. So you gave Zakat according to 5,000 pounds, but now you have 6,000 pounds, so that 1,000 pounds difference, you will need to pay the Zakat of that 1,000 pound difference also. Why? Because when you pay 5,000 on the 1st of Ramzan, on the 1st of Sha'ban, that wasn't your Zakat date. And you have to pay 2.5% on whatever amount you have on your Zakat date. Therefore, you give Zakat on 5,000 pounds. Now on your Zakat date, you've got 6,000 pounds. You've paid Zakat of 5,000 pounds, but you still got the Zakat of that one extra 1,000 pound left. So you'll have to discharge that 2.5% of 1,000 pounds in order to make sure your Zakat of that year is fulfilled. Zakat cannot be given to you. So despite someone being in one of the 8 categories which we discussed, Okay, if that person falls in one of these other categories, you can't give zakat to them. For example, a non-Muslim. Okay, so a person might be faqir, he might be miskin, he might be worthy of zakat, he might be a recipient of zakat, but he is a non-Muslim. So you cannot give your zakat to a non-Muslim. Zakat is an ibadah, it's a first ibadah. And you have to give zakat to a Muslim. So if you give your zakat to a non-Muslim, your zakat will not be fulfilled. Of course you can give, lillah, you can give voluntary charity, you can give voluntary aid to non-Muslims, you can give gifts and hadayah to non-Muslims, but zakat is exclusive to Muslims. You can only give your zakat to a Muslim person. Similarly, a person is Hashimi, meaning he's a Sayyid in our terminology, he's a Sayyid. He's from the family of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, zakat is not allowed for my family. So if someone's a Sayyid, okay, he cannot take zakat, and we cannot give our zakat to someone who is a Sayyid. Okay, this is why we should help and assist poor Sayyids with as much as lillah as possible. Because they can't take zakat, okay, there's a charity in Bakli. Okay, the aim of this charity is just this, that they work on finding Sayyids who are poor, and then they collect lillah, and then they give them from this charity. So it's a very noble cause, because they're helping a Sayyid family, they're helping Sayyid people, but then not with zakat, only with lillah. So we should help the Sayyids also with our lillah money. Payers' descendants, okay, meaning your children. A person can't give zakat to his children, okay, his son, his daughter, his grandchildren. You can't give zakat to your descendants. Similarly, you can't give zakat to your ascendants, your father, your grandfather. Okay, the simple reason is, you shouldn't be looking for zakat to help your children or to help your parents. Okay, if they're in need, then they shouldn't be, waiting for your zakat. You should be helping with your own money. So your descendants or your ascendants, your children, your parents, your grandparents, okay, wa in ala, you can't give them zakat. Payer's partner, okay, husband can't give zakat to his wife. And if the wife is discharging zakat, she can't give zakat to her husband, even if they are poor. Okay, so this is according to the Hanafi school of thought. According to a different A'immah, there's a different mas'ala. But according to Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, okay, the madhab we follow, you're not allowed to give zakat to your wife, and the wife is not allowed to give her zakat to the husband. And similarly, someone who is sahib nisab, meaning someone who already has money equivalent to nisab, okay, someone who already has 330 plus pounds in his possession, then obviously now he's not faqir anymore. In terms of zakat, he is ghani, he is wealthy. So zakat cannot be given to this individual. So when do you start paying zakat? Note down the Islamic date. Okay, because zakat is an Islamic injunction, you have to keep in mind the Islamic date. So when you first become owner of nisab, the threshold which we will come to, what is threshold we will come to. So when you first become owner of this money, which is equivalent to nisab, the Islamic date you need to note down. So let's say when you started first earning, okay, you got your first wage. So you need to write that down. So not always it's going to be Ramadan. Okay, generally people think you have to give zakat in Ramzan. Okay, if your date is in Ramzan, you give in Ramzan. Or if your date has become Ramzan, you give in Ramzan. But if you start earning, and that month is Rajab, that month is Dhul Qa'dah, that month is Dhul Hijjah, that month is Muharram, then your zakat date is Muharram. 1st of Muharram, 10th of Muharram. So you need to note this date down. So let's say we take for example, the 1st of Muharram, okay, 1444. That's your zakat date. Now, if you have made money on this date, you don't pay your zakat straight away. You have to have that money for one whole lunar year. तो आपके पास पैसे आ गए तो फौरन ज़कात नहीं निकालनी है, एक पूरा इस्लामी साल का गुजरना जरूरी है, और एक साल के गुजरने के बाद जब दोबारा यकुम मुहर्रम 1445 हो गया और अभी भी आपके पास निसाब के बराबर पैसे हैं, तब आपको ज़कात निकालनी है. So you've got your 1st of Muharram, you made your money on that day. You don't have to give zakat straight away. You hold it for one whole year. Okay, you let one whole year pass, and then when it comes to 1st of Muharram 1445, and you still have money equivalent or more to nisab, then you have to give zakah after 1 year. If you don't know your zakah anniversary, okay, let's say you only come to know of zakah 2-3 years after making money, then you should try your best to estimate when you made your money. And if not, okay, if you've tried your best, you can't figure out when you became sahib nisab, when you first become owner of money, that money which is equivalent to nisab, then you should just set a date, okay, and then you should just follow that date every single year. Now, how to calculate our zakat? So there will be 3 steps here. One is looking at what assets are zakatable. Secondly, deducting any liabilities. And then third, after doing that calculation, okay, keeping in mind your zakatable assets, and then deducting your liabilities, then you will see if your amount is equivalent to the threshold or not. So we're going to go through each step with some detail, inshallah. Step 1, calculating your assets. So which assets are zakatable? Which assets do you keep in mind when you're calculating your zakat? So first and foremost, okay, gold and silver. Gold and silver is zakatable. तो सबसे पहली चीज जिसमें zakat निकालनी है वो है सोना और चांदी. Sona or चांदी, in any form, in any shape you have gold or silver, okay, then you have to discharge 2.5% of that gold or silver. Now many women have jewelry, okay, in the form of gold. So if you have jewelry in the form of gold, you have to give zakah on that jewelry every single year. औरतों के पास जो है ज़ेवरात होते हैं सोने चांदी के, तो हर साल जो है उस सोने के ज़ेवरात या चांदी के ज़ेवरात जो ज्वेलरी है उसकी, उस जो है हर साल उसकी ज़कात औरत को निकालनी है. Now if the woman is the possessor of and the owner of this jewelry, this gold and silver jewelry, if the woman is the possessor, then she is responsible of the zakat. Okay, she is responsible of the zakat, and we'll touch a bit on this. If the woman doesn't have money, what should she do? We'll touch upon this in the next slide, inshallah. So gold and silver. Secondly, cash. Okay, including any money owed to you. So this means you've lent money to someone. Yeah, you've given someone money to borrow. Because that money is going to come back to you. That money is going to come back to you, then you have to pay the zakat on that money. So this is the masla on debts. Okay, we might not get time later on, so I'll just mention it now. Is that the rule is when you lend money to someone, when you give someone money to borrow, okay, and you have hope of getting that money back, then you are responsible of paying the zakat on that money, not the person who's borrowing the money. So now on the flip side, if you've borrowed someone's money and you're going to pay them back, then that money which is a debt upon you, you're not going to pay zakat on that. तो कर्ज का मसला ये है कि कर्ज देने वाले को ज़कात निकालनी है उन पैसों की. तो अगर मैं किसी को जो है 1000 पाउंड कर्ज दूं, तो मुझे उस 1000 पाउंड की जो है ज़कात निकालनी है. वो सारी जिसको कर्ज मिला है, ये पैसे तो हमेशा के लिए उसके नहीं है, उसको तो वापस देने हैं ये पैसे. तो वो इस 1000 पाउंड की ज़कात नहीं निकालेगा, इसलिए कि वो ये पैसे उसके नहीं है, वो तो वापस देगा उसको. तो जिसने ये कर्ज दिया है वो उसकी ज़कात निकालेगा. तो cash, business assets, okay, we'll come on to this as well in detail, and livestock and agricultural produce. Obviously in this country we generally don't have this, so we don't need to go into the details of animals and agricultural produce. This is mainly for farmers. Cash, okay. First thing is all physical cash. Okay, all physical cash in the form of coins, in the form of notes, any cash you have to give zakah on this. All the money in your bank account, okay, in any types of saving account, in any type of current account, whatever type of account you have money in that account, how many accounts you have, okay, when it comes to your zakat date, you have to calculate all the money in all your accounts. and then give zakah on it. We discussed money owed to you, okay, saving boxes. People generally forget this. That if you have a saving box at home, okay, you have a galla in which you put money in, and if that money is just for the purpose of saving, okay, it's for you, you're going to use it on a rainy day, that money is yours. So you have to open your piggy bank and you have to calculate how much money has accumulated inside it, and you have to include that in your zakat calculation. Many people forget this. Okay? They look at their bank accounts, they look at whatever cash they have, and then they give zakat on that. But you've forgotten the money which you put aside in the saving box. You have to give zakat on that also because it's your money. Okay? If the money is, okay, you're putting it for charity, you're putting it for masjid, then that's a different masla. But if the money is for you, you're just putting there for saving, then you have to include that in your zakat double assets. And finally, okay, foreign currency. Sometimes, okay, we have money in the form of riyals. We have money in the form of rupees because we're going to go on Umrah, we're going to go India, we're going to go Pakistan. So we've got money in the form of foreign currency. So you can't forget that as well when we're calculating our zakat. Sometimes, okay, you might have 500 pounds in rupees. You might have 500 pounds in riyals. So that doesn't mean you don't give zakat on it. Okay, you have to give zakat on all types of cash you have. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's in the currency of where you're living or it's in another currency. You have to calculate and add all this to your zakatable assets. So that's the masla of cash. So any type of cash which you have, in whatever form you do, you have to give zakat. Gold and silver. Okay, generally people have jewelry. Okay, if you have any other form of gold and jewelry, you have to give zakah on it also. So first and foremost, you have to find out how do you give zakah on gold and silver. You have to find out the weight of the gold and silver. So you need to do this by either weighing the gold and silver at home, or then you can take it to a jeweler and he'll weigh it for you. तो सबसे पहले जो है सोना चांदी अगर हमारे पास है तो उसका वजन करना है, और वजन या तो घर पर कर सकते हैं या कि आप जो है सोनार के पास ले जा सकते हैं, ज्वेलर के पास ले जा सकते हैं और वो आपके लिए उसको वजन करेगा। और उसके बाद जो है सोने की जो कीमत या चांदी की जो कीमत है उसके ऊपर ज़कात निकालनी है। Now people question here, okay, which price do you keep in mind? Because you get a buying price, you get a selling price, you get a market price. The best method, okay, the most accurate method is simply go online. Okay, you go online whenever your zakat date is. Okay, you go online and then you check the live gold price, and whatever that live gold market price is, whatever the value it's showing you on that day, okay, it'll show you that the price per gram today is, for example, 50 pounds. Okay, then you know the price of 1 gram. Okay, let's say you've got 100 grams, then you use this 1 gram for 50 pounds, and then you times it by 100 because you've got 100 grams. And whatever that comes to, you will have to give 2.5% of that in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. तो ज़कात जो है निकालने का तरीका ये है कि आप जो है ऑनलाइन जाए, ये इंटरनेट पर जाए और उसकी कीमत निकाले, सोने की उसकी जो कीमत है वो निकाले, और वो जो आपको कीमत दे, या है कि आप जो है ज्वेलर के पास भी जा सकते हैं और उसको भी पूछ सकते हैं कि इसकी कीमत क्या है, वो आपको बतला देगा। तो फिर जो है आप उस कीमत को सामने रख कर जो है उसका 2.5% जो है अल्लाह के रास्ते में ज़कात के तौर पर निकालेंगे। तो बहुत सारी औरतें ये सवाल करती हैं कि हमारे पास सोना चांदी तो है, जेवरात है, लेकिन उसकी ज़कात निकालने के लिए पैसे नहीं है। Okay, we have gold and silver, we have jewelry, but we don't have enough money every year in the form of cash, okay, to give the zakah of this gold and silver. So if you do not have the money, okay, it's not the responsibility of the husband. Okay, generally it's thrown upon the husband. You have to give the zakat. If the wife is the owner of the gold and silver, she is responsible of the zakat. Obviously, if the husband is willing to give the zakat, then the zakat will be fulfilled. There's no problem in that. But if the husband is not ready to give the zakat, then the responsibility is yours. And if you do not have cash, you'll have to liquidate your gold and silver. You'll have to sell some of it, okay, to make sure you pay your zakat on time. तो अगर पैसे नहीं है तो या तो जो है शौहर दे दे अपनी तरफ से तो बहुत अच्छा, और वो शौहर न दे तो आपको जो है थोड़ा सोना चांदी बेचना पड़ेगा, उसको फरोख्त करना पड़ेगा, और फिर आपके हाथ में कुछ पैसे आ जाएंगे और फिर उन पैसों से आपको ज़कात निकालनी पड़ेगी. And keep in mind, it's a very, very small amount, 2.5%. So you don't have to sell all your gold. Okay, just a small amount, just enough to pay your zakat for that gold and silver. Now, people question, okay, there's different types of gold. There's 9 karat, 12 karat, 18 karat, 24 karat. So very quickly, the fuqaha mentioned, the Mufti mentioned that if your gold is 12 karat or over, so which is generally 50% or more. So if your gold is 12 karat or over, 18 karat, 24 karat, then you have to give zakah on that gold because majority of that is gold. With regards to 9 karat gold, okay, where generally only 37.5% is gold, okay, less than 50% is gold, there's a difference of opinion. But again, okay, you always take the safest approach, and even if you have 9 karat gold, you should still give 2.5% of that in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, some scholars say you don't need to, but some scholars say you do. So taking the safer approach, even if you have 9 karat gold, you should give 2.5% of that in zakah. And gold plated jewelry, okay, so the masla which we've been discussing right now, this is the masla of pure gold. If something is gold plated, okay, then this is not gold. If something is gold plated, the whole item, let's say a watch, is gold plated. So the whole watch is not made of gold. Yes, that gold which you've used to gold plate the item, this is made out of gold. But the whole item doesn't become gold. So you don't have to give, let's say you've got a block, okay, made out of metal, and then you just gold plate that block. So you don't have to give zakat on the whole weight of this block, because the whole thing is not gold. You have to take it to a jeweler, okay, you have to find out what percentage I've used to gold plate it, okay, they can work it out for you, and then you just have to give zakat on the percentage of gold, and that's it, not the whole item. So this should be a very, very small amount. So that's the masla of gold plated. Something which is gold plated doesn't make the whole item gold. Only that percentage of gold which you've used will be zakatable. Now business stock, those who have businesses, anything you purchase with the intention of resale. Anything you purchase with the intention of resale, you have to give zakat on that also. So there's generally people who have shops, generally people who have businesses, okay, or even someone who just buys something with the intention of resale. He has to give zakah on his business stock and all his business items. So let's say, for example, a person has a sweet shop. Okay, whenever his zakah date comes, 1st of Muharram, he doesn't just give zakah on his wealth, he doesn't just give zakah on his cash, on his jewelry. He has to take stock of all his business items, everything he is going to sell, and then he has to give zakah on all that also. So the rule is, anything you purchase with the intention of resale. हर वो चीज जो आप खरीदते हैं इस नीयत से कि मुझे दोबारा इसको फरोख्त करना है, मुझे दोबारा इसको बेचना है, तो हर वो चीज जो आप खरीदे इस नीयत से कि मुझे दोबारा इसको बेचना है, मुझे उसको दुकान में रखना है, तो उस पर आपको जो है ज़कात निकालनी पड़ेगी. You will have to discharge zakat on that item. Now, when you do your calculation for zakat, okay, which price? Again, a question arises: which price will you keep in mind? Will you keep in mind the selling price, or will you keep in mind the buying price? So the answer is neither of these. You won't keep in mind the buying price, or you won't keep in mind the selling price. You will keep in mind the not selling price, or which is also known as the bulk sale price. This means that all the stock you have right now, okay, let's say you have chocolates, okay, so you've got all these boxes of chocolates. So if you were to sell all these chocolates in bulk, what price would you get for it? That's the price you determine when calculating your business stock and your business items with the intention of zakat. Okay, so the lot selling price, the bulk price, that's what you keep in mind for calculating your zakat. Now, if you purchase something for personal use, okay, this generally happens. You buy something, okay, it's for, let's say, a car. You buy your car, you're using your car. Now you want to sell your car. So the question is, do you have to give zakat on your car now because you've made an intention to sell this car? So the answer is no. Why? Because when you purchased this car 5 years ago, you bought it with the intention of driving the car. You didn't buy this car with the intention of resale. And only those items are subject to zakah which you purchase with the intention of resale from the outset. So from the beginning, you have to have the intention of resale. If you don't have the intention of resale from the outset, okay, and you have the intention afterwards, then that item is not subject to zakah. तो आपने खरीदते वक्त जो है तिजारत की नीयत नहीं की, बाद में जो है आपने सोचा कि चलो ये चीज बेच देते हैं, तो इस चीज के ऊपर जो है आपको ज़कात नहीं देनी है। हाँ, बाद में वो चीज बिक जाए और पैसे आ जाए, फिर पैसों पे आप ज़कात जो है अदा करेंगे। Certain contemporary issues, okay, people tend to ask about pensions. Keeping in mind the time, because we're very short on time, so I'm just going to briefly touch upon these two aspects. Pensions and shares. Generally, there are two types of pensions. Okay, two types of pensions. One is generally the defined benefit scheme. Okay, or the final salary is called the final salary pension. Generally, the public sector, okay, NHS, civil service, they give out these types of pensions, final salary, where okay, when it's time for your pension, when it's time to draw out your pension, your salary at the time of retirement and your years in service are kept in mind, and then you're given a sum according to that. So final salary pension schemes are not subject to zakat. So if you're in employment right now and you have a final salary pension scheme, you don't have to give zakat on it right now. Okay, once you start drawing your pension out each year, you get a payment, then you'll give zakat on that. Okay, so when you're in employment and you've got a final salary pension scheme, you don't give zakat on it. However, the other type of pension, the money purchase or contribution based, defined contribution, okay, generally private companies have this type of pension, money purchase scheme. So if you have this type of pension, the money purchase pension scheme, then that type of pension scheme is subject to zakat. Okay, you have to give zakat annually on your pension pot. So each year, okay, you get a pension statement. You'll be able to look at what's going on in your portfolio. Okay, you'll be given a letter and a whole statement of exactly where your money is being invested in, how much your pension pot is worth, and all the other details. So you'll have to check that each year. Okay, and all the zakatable assets in your pension pot. Okay, when I mean zakatable assets, what we just discussed on the last slide, your cash, any investments, okay, all these things which are zakatable, all the assets which are zakatable in your pension investment, okay, you can find these out by reading your statements or by contacting your pension provider. All the things on your pension pot which are zakatable, you'll have to pay 2.5% zakah on that. And if you find it difficult to work out, okay, you've got your statements, when you can't work out exactly how much is zakatable, then it's just safest to give zakah 2.5% on the whole value. Okay, just give 2.5% on whatever your pot is worth if you cannot work out exactly which assets are zakatable and which assets are not. So that's pensions. Okay, people ask why on this type of pension, why do you have to give zakat when you don't get the money right now? You only get the money afterwards. So the answer is basically in terms of Islamic Fiqh and in terms of zakat. Okay, you have to give zakat on all the money which you're an owner of. And due to this type of pension, the money purchase pension scheme, okay, because you have a say in where your money is being invested, okay, you know what's going on. You stipulate the employer or the pension provider as your wakil, as your agent. And more importantly in Sharia, if you bear the risk of anything, okay, you're regarded the owner of it. So if you bear the risk of anything, you're regarded the owner of it. And in this type of pension scheme, you do bear the risk of investment. Therefore, from a Shari'i perspective, you will be classed as the owner, thus you will have to give zakah on your pension pot. Shares, okay? Normally there's two intentions or there's two ways of shares. People generally, sometimes you will purchase shares or stocks with the sole intention of resale. So when you buy a share, when you buy stock, when you buy a share in a company, or when you have stocks, okay, you generally buy with the intention of resale. Okay, when the price increases, I'm going to sell the share. So like we mentioned in the business items, if your intention when purchasing something is to resale, is to sell this item again, then you will have to give zakah on that item. You will have to give zakah on the full market value of your share, because you purchased this share with the intention of resale. So whatever the market value of that share is on your zakah date, you have to give 2.5% of that as zakah. But if you purchase shares, okay, just for investment, okay, just to benefit from the annual dividends, okay, you've not purchased this share with the intention of resale, then, like I said with the pension, you will only give zakah on the underlying zakatable assets of your share. Again, what does that mean? The zakatable assets of your share, you have to, look at your balance sheet and you have to see what your pension share, how much is the, cash, how much is the investments, how much is this, and all those things which are zakat, gold and silver, all those things which are zakatable from a Shari'i perspective, okay, you have to add them all together and then give 2.5% of that in zakat. And then things like, okay, things which are like property, okay, you don't give zakat on property. Things which are debts, okay, which your company needs to pay back. All those things which are not subject to zakat, which we'll cover on the next slide, you don't have to include that in your zakatable calculations. Only those things in your share which are zakatable, you will give 2.5% zakat on that, okay, every single year whilst you have these shares. Non-zakatable assets. The following things are not zakatable. Personal belongings, okay, we're short for time, so I'm going to rush through these. Personal belongings, you don't have to give zakah on your house, okay, your car, your clothes, things you use on a day-to-day basis, you don't have to give zakah on that. Okay, items not for resale, we've covered this, not for resale. Jewelry, okay, jewelry which is not gold or silver, you don't have to give zakah on that. Haram wealth, okay, any haram wealth which you have, interest money, or any type of haram wealth you have, stolen money, you don't give zakah on that. Okay, zakah is only from your halal wealth. Haram wealth, you have to give that away, okay. In the first ruling is that you give that money from where you got it from, and if you can't find the owner, you have to give it away without the intention of reward. You don't give zakah on that. And debts we've covered as well. Thereafter, okay, you've taken in mind all your zakatable assets. You've calculated everything. Now there's two things you can deduct before giving zakat. You can deduct any debts, long-term debts, which are due, okay, within 12 months. Okay, many people have mortgages. Okay, whether without going into halal or haram, we're talking about the zakat issue. Okay, if you have a mortgage, and you're paying back money every single month for your mortgage, then a question arises that can you take out your whole payment? Can you take out the payment of 1 month, or can you take out the payment of 1 year? So scholars have different opinions, but the best opinion is that when you're paying a mortgage and now it's time to give zakat, obviously you can't minus your whole mortgage, otherwise you won't be paying zakat for 15-20 years. Okay, you can only minus the payments of 12 months. Okay, so if you're paying £400 a year, 400 times 12, okay, you can minus that from your zakatable calculations, and the rest of your money, if it's more than nisab, you'll have to give zakat on that. So you can minus 12 months of payments from your mortgage, and the rest, okay, you'll have to give zakat. Whatever money you owe besides your 12 months of payment, you'll have to give zakah on that. Similarly, when you're giving your zakat, okay, when it's time to pay your zakah, any bills which you owe, okay, any bills which you need to pay, you can minus them also, your gas, electric, okay, your water bill, your phone bill, all those things which you need to pay in terms of bills for that month. When you're calculating your zakat, you can subtract them also, and then whatever money you're left with, if you hit the nisab, then you need to pay zakat on that. Thereafter, you've deducted the liabilities. Now you compare it with the nisab. Okay, and nisab over here, there's two types of nisab. Okay, and generally, we go with the silver nisab. Okay, when we have both gold and silver, we go with the silver nisab. So the silver nisab, the silver threshold is 612.36 grams of silver. And again, due to the price of silver changing daily, you need to check when it's your zakat date. Okay, when I checked on the 9th of March, okay, 200 dirhams was equivalent to 330 pounds. So nisab is approximately, okay, if you check today, it might be slightly 3 pounds up or down, but nisab will be around 330 pounds. Okay, last year was slightly higher, 370 pounds. This year has gone down, 330. So if you have 330 pounds or more, okay, and then 1 year has passed on this money, and you still have 330 pounds or more, then you have to give zakat, okay, on 2.5% on your amount. Fluctuation during the year will not affect your zakat anniversary date. Let's say on the 1st of Ramadan, someone had nisab. Okay, now he's going to wait a whole year. So some people question that what if during the year you had 330 pounds, and then during the year, let's say Dhul Hijjah, you went for Hajj, okay, you lost your nisab. Meaning, you went below nisab, you went to 100 pounds, you went to 50 pounds. Okay, and then again you started earning January, Muharram, Safar, Rabiul Awwal, and you gain money again. And then when it comes to your zakat anniversary date, when it comes to 1 year after you first had your money, you still have nisab or more. So the question is that there was a point during the year when I went below nisab. So does that mean my year has ended and I have to start again? No. If you have nisab, 1st of Ramadan, and then you lose some money and you go below nisab, okay, you don't hit zero. You have 100 pounds, 50 pounds, and then you gain money again, and when it comes to your zakat date, you still have nisab or more. You still have to give zakat. It doesn't matter if your money fluctuated during the year, as long as it doesn't hit zero. Okay, if your money, you started on the 1st of Ramadan, okay, and then during the year you hit zero, all your money went. Okay, you lost all your money. Now, your zakat date, which was the 1st of Ramadan, this will end. That won't be regarded as your zakat date anymore. Because you hit zero, okay, now your zakat date is cancelled. Now, when you start earning again, the next time you make money equivalent to nisab, the next time you make 330 pounds, okay, now this will be regarded as your zakat date. Let's say, for example, you lost all your money in Dhul Hijjah. So Muharram, you made 330 pounds. Dhul Hijjah, you lost all your money. You went to zero. And then Safar, okay, you started making money again and you hit 500 pounds. So now your zakat date is not 1st of Ramadan. Your zakat date is 1st of Safar. Because Safar is the month in which, after hitting zero, you started making money again. And now when it comes to Ramadan, you don't need to worry about zakat. When it comes to 1st of Safar the next year, if you still have nisab, then you will have to give zakat. So now we understand from this, the final point, okay, before I finish, is that when you have your zakat date, if you've not hit zero, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's say, for example, we're calculating your zakat today. All year, okay, you had, let's say, 500 pounds, all year. Just yesterday, okay, 1 day before your year was going to finish, just yesterday someone came and gave you a gift of 10,000 pounds. Okay, you have 500 pounds the whole year, and just yesterday before your zakat date was about to start, someone gives you a 10,000 pound hadiyah. Okay, you still have to give zakat on 10,500, not that 500. Even though you only had 500 pounds the whole year, but before your zakat date, okay, when you calculating your zakat date, the morning of your zakat date, you had 10,000 pounds extra. It doesn't matter if 10,000 pounds wasn't there for 1 year. Because you had nisab last year, you have nisab this year, whatever amount you have on your zakat date, you will have to give 2.5% of that in zakat. Okay? So there's 3 examples. Alhamdulillah, we've discussed several examples throughout. So I hope that clears many questions, and I hope we have a solid understanding and the basic understanding of how zakat works. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the true understanding of zakat and the beauty of our deen. Ameen wa akhir da'wana.